Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're back to regular episodes. I hope you liked the Transition Blueprint series and you found the information informative. Some of the most important stuff in our lives never comes with a big announcement. There's no spotlight, no fanfare, just a quiet moment that shifts everything, often without warning. Maybe it's getting up for that early morning operation when something clicks and you realize, man, I just can't do this forever. Or it's a conversation in the locker room that sparks a new idea. Maybe it's a note you jotted down and forgot about until you find it months later and suddenly it means something. What I've come to realize, what I wish someone had told me early on, is that the big changes don't come with fireworks. They show up as small things, quiet things, overlooked moments. And if you're not paying attention, you miss them. And missing them, that's the difference between just reacting to your next chapter and being ready for it. Let's be honest. Life in uniform doesn't train us to slow down and take stock of the small stuff. We get accustomed to the mission, the urgency, showing up when it counts. But on the other hand, in the mix of all of this now, our end is always close. And our transition success doesn't come from some massive career overhaul or that perfect 5-year plan. It starts with what you do habitually and regularly. This episode is about learning to address the little moments, not skip past them. It's about building momentum in quiet ways, because quiet doesn't mean unimportant. So with that, let's get into round 74 of the Tactical Transition Tips. This time the topic is master the micro moments. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, 10 minutes a day. Small focused reps today will make sure you're not scrambling when opportunity knocks. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, 1 leadership lesson a week. The more you understand how you lead now, the easier it'll be to explain your value later. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you've got at least a decade before your transition, a purposeful reflection each month. If you build a habit of self-checks now, you'll never wake up unsure of who you are beyond the uniform. Close range group, 10 minutes a day. I know you're sitting, I don't know where you're sitting, but mentally, you're close. Maybe real close. You've got a countdown clock in your head, whether you've admitted it or not. But also in the back of your mind, you're probably wondering, what's next? And if you're really being honest, that unknown part, I bet is eating at you a little bit. So for just a minute, forget the perfect plan. Forget the spreadsheet of job leads or that stack of transition paperwork you've been avoiding. Instead, just hear me. 10 minutes a day, that's it. 10 minutes of focused, intentional effort towards your next step. I know it doesn't sound like much. You might even think it sounds too small to matter. But I'm telling you, it's everything. Everything you're good at in your job today, you didn't get good at it overnight. You got good at it through reps, day after day, operation after operation. You built that muscle memory. This is the same thing, except now the mission is you. I get it. You've got a million things pulling at you right now. You might be working funky shifts. You've got a family to take care of. You're probably still trying to process what it even means to leave this career. And 10 minutes might feel like a drop in the bucket. But I want you to refocus your thought process. It's not about the amount of time. It's about what you do with it. Let's say you start your day with 10 minutes of transition prep. Just 10. I know some of you spend that much time sitting in the bathroom scrolling on social media. But maybe today, that means reading 1 article about the industry you're interested in. Tomorrow, maybe you'll listen to a podcast, not the ones you normally listen to, telling you the same war stories you've already heard a million different ways, but a podcast about something from someone who's already walked the road you're on. The next day, Maybe it's watching a YouTube video about how to talk about your service experience in job interviews. Again, it's about doing a little every day. It's about building momentum. You start showing up for yourself in small ways, and guess what happens? That anxiety of transition starts to decrease. Because now you're not just waiting to get there, you're preparing for it. Transition is not a one-day event. It's a conditioning process. You can't cram for it. You can't go all in one weekend and expect to walk into the civilian world confident and ready. It's like trying to get in shape for a PFQ by hitting the gym once and then skipping the next 3 months. 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week, that's over 40 hours in 6 months. That's a full work week of preparation, and it stacks. And since you're probably going to want something to drink while you're doing it, at Trident Coffee, the mission is clear. Build community, support wellness, and brew with intention. This veteran-owned brand roasts beans specifically for cold brew, creating smooth, bold flavor without the bite, both hot and cold. But here's the difference. Trident packs their cold brew with brain-boosting lion's mane, MCT oil, and hydration-supporting electrolytes. It's coffee that fuels focus, energy, and connection. It's not just what you drink, it's how you live. Trident Coffee, full steam ahead. Go to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your purchase. Here's a small, simple step that you can take. Start a micro mission log. On your phone, in your notebook, on your laptop, it doesn't matter. But what does matter is that you start tracking what you do in those 10 minutes each day. It doesn't need to be fancy, just a line or two. Watched a video on resume structure. Read about jobs in a field I want to get into. Listen to a podcast with a former Marine who's now in tech sales. What you're building is a support document. Doubt is bound to creep in during your transition. You'll have days where you question everything. Am I ready? Do I even have anything to offer? Did I wait too long? And when those thoughts hit, this log becomes your reality check. It's proof you've been doing the work, even if it didn't feel like much at the time. Now, let me say this, though. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that every 10-minute session has to be life-changing. Some days it may only be 5 minutes. Some days it might feel like you got nothing out of it, but that's okay. This isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. Just like in your career, even on those rough days, you still report it in. Bring that same mindset now. Also, if you're wondering what kind of content to plug into those 10 minutes, here's a rhythm that'll help keep it from getting stale. Rotate between learn, listen, and a reflection day. Learn something new. Read an article. Research a career field. Another day, listen to a podcast, an interview, a webinar, even just 10 minutes of someone else's journey. And then take a day to reflect. Journal a quick thought. What resonated? What's unclear? What's lighting a fire? You rotate through those three, and you'll build more than just knowledge. You'll build clarity. And that's gold when it comes to going into interviews or networking or just talking about what you want to do next. Then here's the next thing I want you to do. Apply one insight right away. You just heard a phrase that stood out in a podcast. Incorporate it into your next relevant conversation or email. You read a sentence that gave you clarity to your strengths and skill set. Use it to tweak your resume. You watched something in a YouTube video about job interviews. Practice answering mock interview questions in your head. Application locks it in. It moves it from theory to action. And that's where progress lives. The last thing, I want to address any resistance you might be feeling right now. I know you're probably thinking, this sounds good, but I'm too slammed. 10 minutes won't move the needle. I'll start this next week when all things calm down. Now, say those excuses out loud and listen to what you sound like. We both know things never really calm down. They just shift. And if you're waiting for that perfect moment to start preparing, you'll miss the only moment that ever really exists, and that's right now. 10 minutes a day is your way of taking control back. When the rest of your world feels like it's loud or chaotic, those 10 minutes are yours. No job noise, just you, investing in you, because you deserve that. Your future deserves that. And when the day comes where someone across the table asks, what have you been doing to get ready? You'll be able to answer with a whole lot more than they're probably expecting you to say. Because you show up for yourself, one small moment at a time. Medium range group. One leadership lesson a week. You've still got time. You're not hanging it up tomorrow or even next year. You've got a few more solid years ahead. On paper, everything's good. But here's the thing. Most people don't realize until it's too late. Time gives you options, but only if you use it wisely. Right now, you're in a unique position. You're experienced enough to be the one people look to. You're that steady voice, the person others ask for advice when things start to go sideways. But you're also close enough to the door that you need to start thinking about what happens after you walk out for the last time. Not just career-wise, but reputation-wise, identity-wise, leadership-wise. So once a week, record one leadership lesson. Doesn't matter if it's something that you nailed or something you screwed up and had to learn the hard way. What matters is that you capture it. Maybe during a shift, get into it with someone on your team. Not a blow up, but there was tension. You debrief it, you find out that you missed something they were trying to tell you. That's a leadership lesson. Or maybe you had a newer teammate shadow you and you realize how much of your leadership is instinct now. And you think, damn, I should probably explain why I do things that way. That's a leadership lesson. Or maybe you made a call. It was under pressure and it worked, but you weren't 100% confident when you made it. That's a leadership lesson. You're already living this stuff. Now it's time to start documenting. And here's the why behind this. First, this keeps you sharp. Right now, when you reflect every week, you start to see patterns. You notice how you handle stress, where you repeat mistakes, or when you default to old habits that may not be working anymore. Second, this gives you real stories for interviews and resumes down the road. Think about it. Imagine you're building a bank of examples that show your leadership skills in future interviews. Stuff you actually did. And third, and this might be the most important, you can become a roadmap for the person who replaces you. You've got a duty now, not just to lead well, but to leave a clear trail for those coming behind you. The next person in your seat shouldn't have to start from zero. Give them your playbook. Let me give a quick shout out to a sponsor. Grind isn't just a brand, it's a mindset. Started by a former Army Ranger, Grind activewear is for those who wake up hungry, train with intensity, and chase their goals relentlessly. Whether you're on the field, in the gym, or grinding towards your next mission in life, Grind delivers performance gear that keeps up. This is American-made toughness with purpose. Visit thegrindcollective.com. That's the GRND collective.com and wear what you live because the grind continues. Also, use the promo code TRANSITION15 to get 15% off your purchase. Okay, we're back at it. Now, some of you might already be journaling a little bit, and if so, great. but I want you to level it up. If you're not, start small. It just matters that you capture the story. Here's a format that will work for you. What happened? What decision did you make? What did you learn? What did you do, or what would you do differently next time? Simple, direct. You can knock that out in 5 minutes. Now, I also want you to stretch this one more level. Once a week, after you write the story down, I want you to say it out loud. Record yourself talking through that leadership lesson. No, this is not about posting on social media or putting your stuff out there. This is for you. This is about hearing your own voice, watching you deliver and improve how you communicate your value. Because here's what's coming 5 years from now. Someone's going to ask you in a job interview, tell me about a time you led through conflict. Or how do you handle feedback? Or can you walk me through a decision you had to make on the fly? And you're going to reach back, not to some vague memory, but to a clear, documented, well-practiced story that you've already told. You know how we do after action reports after an operation or a critical incident? This is the same thing. But instead of just talking about the team, you're debriefing yourself. And the payoff isn't just future interviews. It's your confidence today. Because you'll start to see yourself grow. You'll catch the things you missed. And week by week, you'll build your leadership profile. And here's something else. Don't leave out the human side of the story. Yeah, the tactics and the decisions matter. But what's also important? Did you earn trust? Did you hold your ground with humility? Did someone finally open up to you because you showed patience? Or maybe you failed someone and now you've got a chance to do better. Include all of this stuff. Because civilian employers don't just want your war stories or your arrest stats. They want to know if you understand people, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, perspective. That's what separates someone who wore a uniform from someone who leads without needing one. I get that all this might feel awkward at first, but let me ask you, when you were new on the job, didn't you wish someone had written down how they handled the hard stuff? Didn't you want more than just, you'll figure it out? Well, now you're in that person, or you're that person that someone else is watching. And even if nobody ever reads your journal, you'll know you built something real. You'll have a record. You should even leave that record. You'll build a bridge between who you were in uniform and who you're becoming next. So here's your challenge. Once a week, write down one leadership lesson. Then record yourself telling the story. And when you're done, reflect on what you learned from it and what it might teach someone else. It's simple, it's repeatable, and it's powerful. 5 years from now, you'll be sitting in a job interview, or maybe on a stage giving a keynote, or mentoring someone at your new company, and you'll have the receipts. You'll be able to say, here's what I did. Here's how I learned. And here's who I became because of it. That's a leader people want to follow. Long range group. A purposeful reflection each month. Yes, you're the newbie. Well, at least for the purpose of these episodes. You've got a decade or more ahead of you before anyone's expecting you to hang it up. And right now, the job is everything. It's probably still shaping you more than you're shaping it. And let me be clear, that's actually a very good thing. You've still got that fire in your gut. You're showing up early. You're staying late. You're volunteering for the overtime shifts or the stuff nobody else wants to do. And that deserves an immense amount of respect. But I want to plant something in your head as you grow in this career. Because here's what happens to a lot of us in these positions, in your position. We get so wrapped up in the job that we forget to build anything else. The job doesn't just become what we do, it becomes who we are. Now, that can sound noble on the surface. The job is who I am. But I'm here to tell you it's a trap. The day will come when the job stops being part of your identity, whether by choice, injury, burnout, a million other reasons. And if you haven't spent time developing a version of yourself outside the uniform, that moment is going to hit you like John Lynch as you come across the middle. So what can you do now? While you're early in this career, build purpose beyond the career. Build character and clarity that exists whether you're in uniform or out of it. And the tool I want you to use, once a month, I want you to answer 2 questions. What kind of person am I becoming? And am I proud of that? That's it. That's simple. You don't need to do it every day. You don't need to post it online. Hell, you don't even need to tell anybody you're doing it. But once a month, schedule 15 minutes and check in with yourself. Block it on your calendar. Treat it like it's important to the person who matters most in your future. You. Because here's what happens. When you get intentional about asking those 2 questions, you start to see patterns in your behavior. You start to notice where you're slipping and where you're stepping up. Now, I want you to take it a step further. Don't do this in your living room with Netflix playing in the background. When you do these reflections, do them in conjunction with movement. Go for a hike. Go for a long walk. Hit the gym. Then afterwards, take that quiet moment. It could be while you're sitting in your car. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you move first. And why do you ask? Because when your body's been pushed a little, your brain gets quiet enough to be honest. You know what I mean. Think about a hard workout or a long patrol when that adrenaline dies down and there's nothing left in your thoughts. Use that. Right after that moment, ask yourself those 2 questions and be open to the answers that show up. Now, if you're thinking, I've got time before I need to think like this, I get it. People think their careers are stable until they're not. We deal with injuries, obviously the mental health issues. Our families have an impact on our careers. You don't always get to control the timeline. Doing this reflection doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you prepared. Because the goal isn't just to stay in the job. It's to stay in your integrity while doing the job. And to know deep down that when the uniform comes off, you're not starting from zero. You've been strengthening this other version of you all along. Also, when you do these personal sessions, you need to write the answers down. Don't just think about them in the car and forget about it by the time you get home. Write it down somewhere, on paper, in an actual journal, on your phone. Doesn't matter. Month after month, these reflections become the story of your evolution, a trail you can look back on to see where you drifted or where you took a turn that you're proud of. Sponsorship for this podcast comes from Brothers in Arms USA. They're a veteran-owned and operated clothing and accessories brand that's 100% American-made. Every piece tells a story of brotherhood, respect, discipline, and honor. Deeply inspired by those who serve, those who have served, and those who have paid the ultimate price serving our great country. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast, a proud patriot, or simply somebody who values high-quality American craftsmanship, they've got something for you. Go check out brothersinarms.com, spelled out fully, brothersandarms.com, and use the promo code TRANSITION20 to get 20% off your purchase. Okay. Also, when you're contemplating the person you're becoming, think about what's something that you failed at in the month and what did you learn from it? Failure's part of the game, always has been, but most of us never slow down long enough to mine the value of it. We just move on or we beat ourselves up. You want to document the mistake, name it, own it, and then pull the lesson out of it. Don't let it just sit in there. Because later on, when you're mentoring someone or you're in an interview for that promotion or your next career, that failure turned lesson becomes one of your most valuable tools. So if you're still wondering whether this monthly practice is worth your time, let me put it like this. You joined this profession for a reason. Maybe it was to serve. Maybe it was to protect. Maybe it was because something in your DNA knew you were meant for more than the average. But if you want to stay more than the average, if you want to show up decade after decade with strength, clarity, and purpose, you've got to invest in the part of you under the uniform. Once a month, 2 questions, a little sweat, a little silence, and a whole lot of impact. That's how you stay grounded. That's how you stay ahead. And that's how you never get caught off guard by transition. The funny thing about the little moments, they never feel like much while you're in them, but give them time and they start to stack. They shape how you think, how you lead, and who you're becoming. Now, while no one's saying it out loud, you and I both know change doesn't knock. It slips in quietly. So stay sharp, stay intentional, and keep showing up in the quiet, because that's how you master the micro moments. Thanks for watching or listening. If something from this episode hit home, or if you've got a question, please reach out. My links are all in the show notes. If you're not already, follow the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please, you can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you found this helpful, leave a rating or send it to somebody who also think needs to hear it. Lastly, join the newsletter. That's where the real community is.